Welcome to Fight Club 24/7. My name's Johnny Rashman. Right, let's get straight into it. I've just seen the Frank Warren and Jeffrey Benz argument on TalkSport. Jeffrey Benz is Dillian Whyte's lawyer. Frank Warren is obviously Tyson Fury's promoter. Right, very, very simple because I'm fucking sick to the back teeth of this. It's very, very simple. Dillian Whyte has signed a contract, right? So that means you are happy with the terms that are in that contract. Hence why he has signed it to fight Tyson Fury. He couldn't reach an agreement before the fight went to purse bids. His own promoter didn't back him enough to win the purse bid. That was it. Didn't back him enough, right? Whether it was the biggest offer on the table, whatever, it wasn't good enough. He lost the purse bid. Frank Warren won it, right? It's his show. He can decide on everything. What he says goes. That's it. That's a consequence of winning a purse bid. Now, if Dillian Whyte isn't happy with certain things, he should have negotiated that in the contract prior to signing it. So when the purse bid came in and he was offered the contract, right, he was given the contracts in front of him. This lawyer, this Jeffrey Benz, who also claims he was a boxing promoter, which I fucking would be flabbergasted if that was actually true, because he actually doesn't really know what he's talking about in regards to a promotion of an event, which I'll touch on afterwards. But in regard to this contract, right, so this Jeffrey Benz, he's such an expert, right? Why hasn't he gone through with a fine-tooth comb and gone back to Frank Warren and said, we want this, we want private flights, we want certain amount of tickets, we want blah, 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 which is pretty standard, right? Why wasn't it negotiated then, right? You signed the contract, so you were happy with the terms of the contract. So this is where I don't understand what the issue is. If you're not happy with what was in the contract, don't sign it. Don't fight. It's very, very simple. If you're not happy with what's in the terms of the contract, no one's putting a gun to your head, don't sign it and don't fight. That's it, right? You can't sign the contract, which means you are happy with the terms in that contract, and then say, and grab the money and then say, oh, I'm not happy with any terms. I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with it. But I'll sign it and I'll take the payday, but I'm not happy with it. No, mate. That's not how a contract works, right? Everyone knows it. It's very, very basic stuff. Could you imagine if Manchester United had a footballer, right? He pays them every week, right? Every week they get their money, right? His job is to play football, but he's an employee of Manchester United, right? So that means he has to do certain things. The player has to do media things. He has to train at certain times. Could you imagine if a footballer came back and said, I'm not doing anything, I'm just playing football. That's my job. I get paid to play football. I'm not training. I'm not participating with the team. I'm not stretching afterwards. I'm just there to play football on a Sunday. He'd be in breach of contract when he won't get paid, right? So Dillian Whyte is the footballer in this scenario. Frank Warren is the football club. He's won the purse bid. He has control over the promotion, over everything that goes involved with the fight. Now, from Dillian Whyte's point of view, has he been treated badly from the WBC? Yes, right? But that's not Frank Warren's fault. That's a WBC issue. It's nothing to do with Frank Warren. They're not happy with the purse split. They're still going into an arbitration with the WBC. We all know Dillian Whyte shouldn't have got 20%. He shouldn't have. At the very least, he should have got 30%, right? So if you're an interim WBC champion, you should get 45% of the split against a champion. He didn't get that, right? The 20% split from the WBC is just made up. It's wrong. It is wrong. But that's where we are, right? At the end of the day, 20% against Tyson Fury is probably 90% against any other fighter in regards to the pay structure, right? So that's it. He's getting millions and millions of pounds. He's not the A-side. He's not a champion. He's not a big draw. Right? He's not. Right? Does he have a bit of a following, Dillian Whyte? Yes, but he's not a big draw on a worldwide basis. He's not. Right? Tyson Fury is the A-side of this. So that means, yes, you have to do certain things that you might not want to do, right? But there's a big difference in keeping your head down and saying, I'm not going to participate in that much media. I'm just going to do the bare minimum. I just want to concentrate on the fight. Like Conor McGregor did with Nate Diaz in the rematch. He promoted the hell out of it in the first fight. He lost the fight and he said, you know what? I'm just going to train. I'm not going to do that much media. And he did a few press conferences, acknowledged the fight was happening. And that's fair enough. This isn't that with Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte has not acknowledged the fight. has not come out and put one post on social media, has not come out and thanked the fans for buying tickets, not come out and said anything. And this Jeffrey Benz geezer, right, who's Dillian Whyte's lawyer, he keeps using terminology, if it happens. I will not be surprised if Dillian Whyte doesn't turn up. If he, on fight week, says he's got an injury just to annoy Frank Warren. I think it's got to that stage where it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't take the fight. This Jeffrey Benz came out, right, and said the first press conference wasn't a press conference, it was a ticket launch event. Hold on. Right, let me just tell you that again. He says that the first press conference is a ticket launch event. What the fuck are you talking about, mate? Do you understand boxing, right? You might understand the legal side of things and the contract, but do you actually understand boxing? When in the history of boxing has a fighter not turned up to a press conference or a ticket launch event, as this geezer fucking calls it? It's a fucking press conference, right? No one in the history of boxing has not turned up, right? It doesn't happen. It doesn't go on. I've watched boxing for 25 years, right? 25 years. I've never known a time, a place, a scenario when such a big fight in a stadium between two people from the same country, right, has had such a lack of promotion and where a fighter has refused to cooperate in any form of media. I have not seen it before. In the grand scheme of things, with the commercial value of this fight, it's fucking baby stuff what's been talked about. Plane tickets, allocation of tickets at the fight. It's just fucking utter nonsense, right? It's utter nonsense. Ask yourself the question, why is Frank Warren acting like this? If, as it's being claimed by Dillian Whyte's team, that they're not giving him certain perks and all this. Well, you want to know why? Probably because you've been a fucking dick from start to finish, right? If you're going to bite the hand that feeds you, what do you expect? I saw this coming a mile off. I said it straight away that Dillian Whyte won't do any form of promotion. I knew he wasn't going to play ball with the promotion. I knew it straight away. I could see what was going on. His fans are saying, oh, he's training hard. He will be at the press conference and this and that. And he's not playing into the mind games. It's utter bollocks. It's bollocks, right? He's been fucking screaming Tyson Fury's name for the last 4 years. Screaming. Where's the same energy? Right? You've signed the contract, right? It states in the contract there's certain things you have to do. No one is saying that you have to throw tables and stuff over people and create fake fucking beef, which has been done before by Dillian Whyte. No one is saying that, right? But have the respect as a professional fighter to turn up to a fucking press conference, the first press conference, and if it's not a respect for yourself as a fighter, it's for the fans, right? The fans are paying their hard-earned money. All right, you might not be getting on with Frank Warren. You might think he's a fucking dick, right? Okay, fair enough. You're not the first person who doesn't get on with a promoter. You won't be the last. But at the end of the day, have the respect for the fans who are going out their way after coming out of a pandemic, right, with the cost of living and all this shit that's going on, right? They're paying the hard-earned money and they have to pay treble the amount of money with all the inflation of ticket prices. We all know what's going on with that, right? Where's the thank you very much? Where's the, you know what, I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to do it for the fans. There's nothing. It's that. And that, for me, it leaves a very dangerous mark for boxing. It does. Because this will have ramifications that will go all the way down throughout British boxing. Because now, what will be the norm will be, well, it doesn't matter if you win a purse bid. Doesn't matter. The fighter can still do what he wants. The fighter doesn't really have to take part in the promotion, doesn't have to do anything. He's just going to grab his money. Now, I understand that's gone on in the past, right, where fighters who are on the wrong end of a purse bid, when I say the wrong end, where their promotional company hasn't won the purse bid, they're fighting in another promoter's show and they might not be getting pay-per-view money. I understand they're not going to promote the hell out of it. We all get that. We all understand that. But there's a fine difference, as I mentioned before, in not taking part in not promoting a show fully and doing absolutely nothing just to piss off the promoter, right? And the fans. There's a big difference in that. Frank Warren has every right to be fucking annoyed because he's paying the bloke £6 million. If you're not happy, don't take the 6 million, mate. If you're not happy with the terms, if you're not happy with the conditions, no one is forcing you to take the 6 million. But it's not, is it? It's, I want to have my cake and eat it. That's what it is with Dillian Whyte. Unfortunately, that's not how life works, mate. Right? You can't take £6 million and then just be an absolute pain in the fucking arse. We've all heard about image rights and all this. Frank Warren came out. It says in the contract, right, that the person who wins the purse bid has all the intellectual rights and the image rights and all that. That means that they can use their image. Right, or they could use footage of him, right? Because they have the rights for it for this fight. That's in the contract. So if that's in the contract, what's Dillian Whyte being a pain in the arse for about not using my picture and not using that? He's being a pain in the arse. So can you blame Frank Warren if he's not giving him a fucking £1 billion private jet to fly over? Right? I'm not saying he's not. He did. Frank Warren has said he offered him a private jet to come to the press conference. Dillian Whyte refused. I believe Frank Warren. Right, I don't think Dillian Whyte had any interest in going to that press conference, right? And if he did, he just would have sat there, right, and not said a word, right? So if you're Frank Warren, you're a promoter, you look at it from this point of view, right? You're paying the bloke £6 million, just like in any other job, right? If you own a car company, right? If you're selling cars and you bring staff in and you give someone a 50 grand contract, right? £50,000 a year, you're going to be my head salesman. I want you to sell cars, right? That's what I want you to do. If you're paying them £50,000, you expect them to do the job, don't they? Right? You expect them to do the job professionally, right, and do other bits as well in the office, right? So if you're told to do something else, do something else. It might not be your job, right? It might be you have to do an hour working in a different department, or sometimes you might have to come in if someone's sick or whatever. You might have to come in when it's your day off, and just things like that, right? There's certain things that goes into that. If you're just going to be a complete dick and not do anything, then don't expect your employer to fucking give you perks, to give you free holidays, to give you Christmas bonuses. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to... It's just very simple. Just don't bite the hand that feeds you. You don't have to get on with Frank Warren. You don't have to get on with anything. Because you know what would be the most successful thing you can do in this fight, which will wipe the smile off Frank Warren, is winning the fight. That's it, win the fight. And you're only hurting yourself. I've said this before. You're only hurting yourself by not maximising the exposure in this fight, because you're never going to fight in the stadium again. If you don't win this fight, that'll be the end of Dillian Whyte as a pay-per-view fighter, because he's not put himself in the front window for this. And what I mean by that is he could have put his name, he could have got his profile bigger. He could have maximised it, not just in the UK, worldwide, because this is a global fight. It would have been. I don't think it is as much now. I think it's a big fight in the UK, but the lack of promotion is going to hurt it. It is. I know some people say, well, in a weird way, their lack of promotion is making it bigger, but it's not, is it? Because people in America and people in Europe, and they're not hearing anything. There's no build up to the fight. That's going to have a serious effect on the pay-per-view sales for this fight. It is. No matter what anyone says, it is going to have it. It might not have the effect that I probably would have thought a few weeks ago, but it's going to have some type of an effect. And Dillian Whyte, with a big promotion behind him, he could have really put himself in the shop window, right? Because even if he puts on a good performance and he loses, or he puts on a wilder performance where it's a fucking life and death battle for the ages, he can name his price and go to Sky, he can go to The Zone, he can go to others, he can go, well, look at the numbers that was generated in this fight. He's only hurting himself, because let me tell you something. If Dillian Whyte doesn't perform in this fight, if he gets knocked out, which he did against a fat old Povetkin, right? Let's get it right. You know, that was 2 years ago now. He got put to kip, didn't he? Right? If that can happen against an old fat slob of a fighter like Povetkin who was shot to pieces, that can happen with Tyson Fury. Right, of course it can. If it can happen with Povetkin, it can happen with Tyson Fury. Right, so if he gets knocked out, or if he gets outboxed completely and he doesn't go out on his shield like we think he does, because he is a tough bloke, Dillian Whyte, then he's absolutely put himself in a terrible position, because he's not maximised on the exposure. If he gets beat comfortably, it's, oh, there's Dillian Whyte. Can we really listen to anything he says again? Because I think he's going to find it hard to be a pay-per-view star. Because with this fight, if he maximised everything and he put it all out on the line and it was a great fight, his profile has gone like that, gone through the roof, and then you have different options. So the fact he said nothing has put even more pressure on him. Because if he doesn't perform in this fight, which can happen, I think it will be a tough fight. I do. I think Fury will win. I don't think it's a walkover. But it wouldn't surprise me if Tyson Fury does outbox him. Because Dillian Whyte, right, hasn't had a competitive fight since 2020. If you can even call the first Povetkin fight a competitive fight, The guy was shot to pieces on both fights, shot to fucking pieces, hence why he retired. The second fight was just a complete farce. That was just someone turning up to get paid, no different to a journeyman, right? Just turning up to get paid, not bothered about winning the fucking fight. Wasn't interested in Povetkin, right? So really, you could say against Oscar Rivas maybe was his last competitive fight, but he's not been active, has he? So where's the timing going to be? Where's he's going to have ringing inactivity? So he could very easily get outboxed by Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury could do what he did against Derek Chisora all those years ago, go southpaw and just play with him and win on points. He does have that ability. So if that was to happen, and this fight isn't a fucking fight for the ages that we think it's going to be, Dillian Whyte's in a terrible, terrible, terrible position, because if he stinks the place out, no one's going to be bothered about having him on pay-per-view. They're not, because it's going to be a hard sell, because fans are going to remember the lack of promotion he's put in for this fight. Because if he really went for it for the promotion, right, even with not getting a slice of the pay-per-view money, it's still small thinking from him and his team, because he's still going to be a star. He's still going to get views on social media. He's going to have certain analytics. He's going to be viewed at this stage. He's going to be on YouTube. He's going to be all around the place. He's going to be all around the digital media world, right? And what that means is the more eyes on you, right, more money. Might not be from Frank Warren, but later down the line. So he's only hurting himself. Now, on the flip side of that, if he does win the fight and he does perform extremely well, then right, okay, it will be forgotten about the promotion. But he's backed himself into a corner, and I think the whole thing it's a fucking bad luck for boxing. It's baby stuff that's been coming out from Whyte. Oh, we're not happy with this, we're not happy with that. Let me tell you something. You signed a contract. If you're not happy with the contract, don't sign it and don't fight. It's as simple as that. Let me know your thoughts. Who's right in this situation? Is it Frank Warren? Is it Dillian Whyte? Are you sick of it? Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts.